Ah. Pilladopa, thanks for the sub. I appreciate the support. EB just needs a shut-in draw slave. I was complaining about this on the Discord as well, but Get Back really is just the mangaka dream of, besides being a cute girl, more importantly, having a cute girl that is like mentally reliant on you, that you can abuse and have her work for free to draw you endless backgrounds. Just being like, oh no, Kanako-chan, you can't talk to anybody because you're a neat shut-in bochi. You don't know how to speak to people. Your only way to survive is if you are employed by me and draw my backgrounds forever. It's the mangaka's dream. Crush my balls with a rock, I must. You know, I thought Yoda's CBT posting was a thing of the past, but with the release of Night Rain, I checked back in on some of the streamers that I used to watch more frequently, and people were still doing Yoda CBT posting, so I guess the internet doesn't move as fast as I assumed it does. Yoda crushing his cock with a rock, still extremely relevant in 2025. Many situations in which you're watching a Twitch stream and you have to post content related to Yoda CBT. How's everyone doing? I know I've said this like a million times at this point, but I think I really have finally solved the not knowing what pen to use issue. I think my search for the correct Clip Studio pen is over with the completion of the current customized pen I'm using right now. I've fucked around with the settings long enough that I finally feel like this is gonna be my permanent primary pen going forward. I think it produces a line quality very similar to people using analog media. Let's lower this stabilization down. I can't figure out how wide his shoulder width should be in this case. I guess this is fine. Alright guys, I'll let you have some input on what music you want to listen to, what non-DMAC background music you want, which leaves you with, I don't know, probably a choice between relaxing JRPG music, lo-fi slop, classic slop, jazz slop, stuff that is abstractly named retro wave 1991 slop because 91 is now retro. Or silence, there's always that. We haven't tried a silence stream. Only the tones of me groaning and mumbling. Yeah, I could also whisper into the microphone. There's always that. No, I need music, honestly. I can't listen to the sound of my own voice for so long. I need some kind of like distracting sound. I could probably save myself 40 minutes per page if I just drew people wearing skin tight Taimanin outfits where there's no wrinkles, because I think I spend more time trying to figure out the wrinkle anatomy of everything more than like any other thing about drawing anything. It's just like, it's always like I can't figure out the drapery. Honestly, draperies is like my final boss, even more than hands and stuff. Maybe trees and foliage is up there. But I refuse to draw non-loose clothing in fantasy settings. Any chance we get a song request channel points redeemed to spam Gachi? I'm not going to play Gachi the entire stream though. However, people have been talking about ways to use channel points for a long time, so if you guys want to have like some sort of stupid ass channel point system, you know what? Fuck it, yeah. What's a good rate for channel points? It can't be too low, or else people will just be able to spam requests forever. There should people have like 200,000 channel points at this point. Alright, we'll do 1,000 channel points for a single song request. How about that? Just remember that we'll only be doing good, wholesome songs like Ram Ranch. Should be 10,000. Yeah, maybe you're right. Alright, 3,000 for a song request. That seems about right. 3,000 is also the number of dollars it will take for me to see a doctor to get my hemorrhoids fixed, probably, so... Except if this is like some sort of system that I have to set up, then that's not gonna happen, because like I have no fucking idea how to like set up, you know, uses for channel points, so... Unless we have a mod in chat who's gonna do it for me, then it's not gonna happen. At least not right now, immediately. I think this is a little too much in Word right here. What's good? Do you guys know what ACAB stands for based on 4chan? If it's something that you can't type in chat, don't type it in chat. But there's so much 4chan acronyms at this point that I can't even like type them into Google and figure that out. Oh no, it wasn't okay, I'm thinking of... No, it wasn't ACAB. It was like AK... What was I trying to look up? I think I have to actually look at my search history because I was trying to fucking figure this out. Alright, I can't even remember what it was. Forget it. It's too late for me. I'm too old for this shit. I cannot keep up with 4chan lingo. I grew to develop a burning hatred of acronym usage thanks to working as a translator in the manufacturing engineering industry, where they literally had an acronym for everything, and sometimes you would ask like engineers who wrote the document what the acronym stood for, and they're like, I don't know. Giving up? Yeah, giving up trying to understand what these 4chan children are talking about. Although it would be interesting if you could actually figure out what the average user age of 4chan was. I think that would be pretty interesting. I'm not old. Not in a world in which the average age of the worker is going to be like 75 before they're allowed to retire. We're talking about a world in which, in Japan, we have 70-year-olds taking care of 90-year-olds because there's not enough young people to house the retirement homes. Will Xana's evil drow sisters show up again? Maybe. It's unclear. Will I ever complete this manga? Probably not. Will Xana's hot mom show up again? Xana's hot mom will show up next chapter. She's around, so... Constrictor, if you post anything related to Family Guy again in chat, I'm gonna fucking time you out. I'm assuming that was a Stewie reference right there. How about American Dad related? Even worse. The only American comedy animation that I watched growing up was South Park, and I think that was specifically because my mother tried to stop me from watching it and banned it. She was like, "This is bad for you." I was like, "Good, now I'm gonna watch it." And I didn't watch anything else. So I don't know any of the classic Simpsons references or classic King of the Hill references or anything. I was forced to watch enough Family Guy during my college years that I know some Family Guy references, but what's the point of knowing Family Guy references when all of their content is just like, you know, random jokes? Like, no one's like, remember that one time Peter did this? Because that's like the entire fucking show. It's like, remember the one time we opened the door and Bruce Lee came out and he said some shit. Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Aqua Teen Hunger Force doesn't count as like part of the classic American comedy animation. For one thing, it's barely animated, as in nothing actually moves. For another, it's not on Fox. It seems whenever I go to Planet Fitness at a certain time slot, there's always like a new Fox adult comedy animation on, to the point where I can't name any of these things. How much would you say dubbers like Solus add to your rise in popularity? Maybe about 100,000 followers on Twitter, maybe. I'm not sure. I don't think there was a immediate difference in the amount of Patreon bucks I got when I started getting popular on YouTube. I think that was pretty consistent. There was a huge jump in Patreon bucks I got when I released the first chapter of this manga, though. So I feel like YouTube is kind of its own ecosystem than giving people money on Patreon. Like, they're used to getting stuff for free because, you know, they contribute by watching ads. So, I don't know if it's how many of those people actually, like, read my stuff on Twitter or the rest of the internet. Also, it's possible that they're illiterate, you know? There's a good chance that 70% of the people who watch content on YouTube are literally incapable of reading the English language, so... Big Mouth gets its 502,000th season, yeah. The investors demand it. There's a new artist that I've been following who recently blew up, and I remember finding you through Solus back in 2021, so I recommend it to him. I mean, the thing about YouTube is it's like, I'm not doing anything. It's not something that I spend time doing, right? So it's different if, like, people have to do the dubbing themselves. Like, Solus has to pay voice actors and, like, keep tabs on that shit. I don't have time for that stuff. So... like, if you're saying that artists should, like, go into that themselves, I don't know if artists have the time to be doing that. Also, you have to, like, actually know people to do the voice acting, which, knowing people is one of my great weaknesses, besides, like, not looking at porn and, not shitting blood out of my asshole. I don't know anybody. And it's always been that way. When I was in high school, it was always funny because I would learn about shit that happened among my peers like 5 months later after it happened. They'd be like, Lauren died. I'm like, oh shit, seriously? Yeah, that was 6 months ago. I was like, ha! Damn, I knew I didn't see her very often. That's crazy. Isn't Solus only paying the same 2 or 3 actors? I don't think so. I mean, for example, when I drew a comic about, like, the voodoo lady, I was like, can you get a Haitian accent? Because it's voodoo, and he found someone who could do a Haitian accent. So, I do think he does have the Mitt Romney binders full of women thing going on. If it wasn't for you and some other artists I follow, I would have nuked Twitter ages ago. I would go to other places, but there is no other place. Especially if you want to keep tabs on, like, the current situation of various Japanese doujin artists and, like, what they're going to be releasing for the next Comic-Con and shit like that. Like, they don't update their status on Pixiv, even if they post on Pixiv, so if you want to know if they're going to be releasing a new Dragon Quest tentacle doujin or some shit, that you have to be on Twitter. Although I'm sure the quality of Twitter will now start to improve now that Elon is 100% focused on his corporations instead of trying to correct the US government. The only thing that Twitter needed was a strong hand of Elon to guide it, and now that he's focused, everything will be better. That was sarcasm, chat. I heard that they were recalling like all of the Cybertrucks right now because some of the side paneling made out of stainless steel sheets is only attached with glue, and there's a possibility that these sharp sheets of metal are going to fall off the car while it's moving and go flying and slice somebody's neck open and stuff like that. Is Blue Sky ran any better? I don't know. It's pretty easy to run a service when there's only like 1/30th of the people on it compared to Twitter. And it's the exact same fucking service that Twitter was. It's funny how we pretend like our tech billionaires are somehow visionaries when Jack Dorsey, who gets credit for being a good tech person because he has the most basic respect for the First Amendment and is slightly less of an asshole than Elon, he clearly only has one idea. Like, these guys literally have one idea and people are like, oh my god, what a visionary. He's like, I've sold Twitter, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna make Twitter again. And it's not even like the tech itself is impressive. The entire product is just getting people on it and then people talk among themselves. It's literally the equivalent of the student teacher, substitute teacher showing up at your elementary school and being like, okay, I don't know what to teach, so you guys form groups and discuss the book you read among yourselves, and I'm gonna go over here and just sit, and I'm gonna wait till the class is over. There's like an entire fucking industry where the users are also the product, and the only thing that the product offers is like the connectivity, which is often in question as well. So yeah, tech is extremely disappointing. We praise any techno-billionaire for doing the bare minimum, like not being a techno-fascist psychopath. Yeah. We don't even care if the service that they're offering even works anymore. It's like, oh man, good job, Mr. Zuckerberg. You went 2 weeks without Facebook being used as a tool by foreign governments to find specific people and kill them in a genocidal campaign. He's really cleaning up his act. Which, this might sound like hyperbole, but it has literally been used in the past in like Rohingya genocide and stuff like that, so, you know. The cyberpunk future we all wanted is already here. The truth is, I never liked Facebook, even when it was at its prime, which was in college in 2006, when I didn't really want to socialize with people, but I felt like it was mandatory because I was in college, and they're like, I would be like, when's the party? And they're like, we'll post it on our Facebook wall. 2006 college students being like, all information you need, all communication that you might do with me, you must do through the Facebook wall, which, you know, hasn't aged very well. We live in the least stylish dystopia. I mean, at least the Cybertruck is in the cyberpunk dystopia genre. It seems like a good facsimile of having, I don't know, shitty cars. I mean, it handles the same way Cyberpunk 2077 cars handled in the video game pre-patch, as in like fucking bouncing around and going everywhere and being a piece of shit. So you could say that Elon was extremely successful in his Cybertruck, if that was his aim. Not as successful in creating a object that can actually be used for day-to-day driving. We'll have to explain to the Zoomers that back in 1980, huge technological innovations was like, this is a product, but now it's being made by the Japanese, so it's like 10 times better and it doesn't explode. Instead of nefarious Wayland Corp, we have a doofus with a Caesar haircut and an obsession with Andrew Jackson. Yes. We have gotten to the future in which the dumbest of us are the ones who get to call the shots for some reason. I'm not sure how it ended up this way, but I don't think many people were predicting it. Predicting the future where it's like, actually, people will have enough power that they will continuously force the least qualified and the dumbest people to be at the top of society. And then everyone will just have to clean up in the massive shit stains that are left by the dumb people. It will be great. Did you hear Japanese scientists develop artificial blood? Sounds good. I do still believe that technological progress is basically the only way that humanity is going to get better, because it's not going to come from people behaving better. But that tech progress just isn't going to come from America's tech billionaires. It's going to come from like research universities and shit, which is why we must defund Harvard. Grimace Shake blood. Is it actually purple? Hold on, that's fucking sexy. Japanese develop artificial blood. Nice. Here we go. Here's the live update on the Japanese artificial blood right here. I can't believe the Grimace Shake was mint flavored. I missed the opportunity to get my purple shake, and I asked chat, and they said it was like a light mint flavor. Is that what you're saying? That's so weird. I bet they just reused the Shamrock Shake content and added like purple dye to it. My canon is that we're going to have a population collapse because the decline in dating, having kids won't be taken seriously until it's too late. It is being taken seriously. Have you not noticed, like, every single capitalist being like, people, you have to have children right now! Ah! Or else we're going to put more immigrants in the pipeline. You have to have children. Oh, have you noticed that? Because that's what they're doing. The problem is that it's not being taken seriously. It's that they don't know how to solve it. Because the reason why people aren't having kids isn't clear. And it's happened in literally every culture and society. So there isn't any obvious way to solve the issue. Blue Archive and Uma Musume coming to Steam, you down? I'm not going to play any gacha under any circumstance, guys. It's never going to happen. Any money that you give to any gacha, you should be giving double that amount of money to this stream. Or my Patreon, please. I will not allow you to waste money on this fucking gambling shit when you should be giving that money to me. This is for your own good. Give me your money and I will put it in a 4% interest saving account. And that money will increase in value instead of being wasted on gacha girls. Join BB's Patreon so he can begin playing ZZZ. I think Zenless Zone Zero has the most fappable girls. Which is why if I was going to play a video game that has gacha elements, it would probably be that. It also has the most gameplay, I would say. But I played Zenless for about 2 hours before they asked me to start paying into the gacha system, and I was like, no, I will not. Yeah, I have been wondering whether I should open a SoFi account because they offer like half a percentage point higher than other banks, but I haven't done it because it's only like half a percentage point, and I find them, you know, fishy. I don't actually trust them either. I'm guessing they do a lot of high-risk shit with my money, or else they wouldn't be able to afford offering higher interest rates than everybody. The real solution would be trying to tackle the societal cultural pressures that have resulted in it, but because it could be controversial, it's not happening. Except people don't know what the societal culture pressures are causing it. If you ask people, they have 10 different theories. But if you're like, oh, it's feminism, well, there's a ton of extremely unfeminist countries that have the same decline in birth rates. You say, oh, there's too much technology, oh this, oh that. You can find exceptions to every single one of those. I think it's a case-by-case basis. I don't think it is, because it's consistent between, as every single country, their economy begins to get closer and closer to a first world economy, or a post-agrarian, post-industrial economy. The birth rates go down consistently. There's a clear trend in it happening, specifically industrialized countries with women being in the workforce. Yeah, but if you ask like the feminists, they're like, what we need to have higher birth rates is more jobs for women. You won't get an agreement on that as well. I mean, the most obvious solution to this is like my hentais, in which women are all corralled up into giant breeding facilities where they're attached to these, you know, cow milking devices and been made pregnant by orcs. And then not only are they forced to breed more orc children, but their massive lactating boobs are hooked up to like these milk sucking machines. And they're all like, "Ooh, I'm coming. The feeling of milk getting sucked out of my boobs is making me come. Ooh, ahegao." That seems to be the hentai solution for this. That guard dark, wow, ha ha ha. I mean, we don't have any orc breeding facilities now, do we? I think it's much more dark, the fact that humanity population is going to collapse. On the other hand, that's kind of okay, because we also need to tackle global warming, and if we continue at the current pace of population without changing human behavior, we're literally going to overheat the planet. So having fewer people is a step in the right direction, I would say. We're never going to fix global warming. It's not going to be fixed through people changing their behavior, that's for sure. Have the social intelligence to ask yourself why you want kids. No, I will have children because I fear death, and I feel like by having children I can have immortality. I must pass on my wealth to future generations. This will mean that I existed in the world. It's the only way. I mean, look at Elon. He clearly mutilated his penis, and now he spends all of his time artificially inseminating women. And his legacy will be a bunch of children with names like X who hate him. I thought Musk naming his kid X was a joke. Oh, it's real. He also has other children with equally stupid names. This is what we were talking about in the previous stream, actually going through all of the names he gave his children. It's pretty dark. You want a dark future? That's the dark future. Being Elon Musk's son with a dumb fucking name. It makes getting named Dovahkiin so your parents could get a free copy of Skyrim look like a walk in the park. I wonder what young Dovahkiin is doing now. It came out in 2011, so he would be just reaching puberty around now. If he like gets arrested and they're like, you have to see a counselor, and the counselor is like, let me do some psychoanalysis of why you're having a hard time in life. Oh, your name is Dovahkiin. Well, I think we've figured out the problem. Your parents were so fucking stupid that they decided to name you this stupid fucking fantasy name so they could get a free copy of a game that's going to be re-released 30 more times by Todd Howard. I'm sure that they've also made a lot of good decisions besides that in your life as well, so now we understand why you're here. Should I name my child V to get the Cyberpunk 2027 sequel for free? I mean, I feel like being named V is even worse than being named X. Or Dovahkiin. Think of all the vagina jokes they can make just through association. The vagina monologue name. He rich enough to get his name changed if he decides that? I wonder if the kids of Elon are actually going to get inheritance equally. I assume if you're named X, there's a higher chance you'll get inheritance than somebody who named normal shit, but relying on Elon to provide you with something at any point, whether you're his child or not, seems like a bad bet. They might have to fight each other for inheritance. I'm still waiting on Mr. Murdoch to die to get our real life succession. It's going to happen pretty soon at this point, so it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen to the Fox News empire after he's dead. I assume that Fox News isn't actually going to change that much because they just show people what they want to see. It's not like they're forcing all these boomers to watch their stupid fucking Republican propaganda. People want to see the Republican propaganda. And it's made them very successful, but I don't know if it will completely escape without it making any changes after his death. CNN is losing a lot of viewers too. Yeah, whatever. Don't give a fuck about cable news networks. Cable is losing a lot of viewers. I mean, how many of you have fucking cable subscriptions? Have you seen the prices for that shit? Like, nobody needs cable in 2025. You're paying like $200 a month for your like shitty 500 channels. It's an incredibly outdated model, so yeah, most cable news networks are losing viewers unless you're a giga boomer and you've been trained to give Fox News your money. A lot of the would-be Fox viewers are going to Twitter and Facebook. I feel like it's still more Facebook than Twitter. It's kind of hard to tell on Twitter who's a real reader of Twitter and who's just a bot, but I feel like Twitter is significantly younger than Facebook. Still, even as everything eventually just becomes boomer central over time. Just by the nature of interacting on it. Everybody on Twitter is actually angry about stuff. Well, I guess people on Facebook is angry about stuff as well, but Twitter is angry in a young person way instead of an old person way. It's a like, I'm gonna change the world one Twitter complaint at a time kind of anger, whereas the Facebook anger is like, get off my lawn kind of anger. Do elderly people use Facebook in Japan? No. Japan, being the Galapagos Islands of everything, always has its own stupid services. That's why if you read hentai, they're always like, check her up on Line. And if you're an American reader, you're like, what the fuck is Line? Line is like the Japanese Facebook. I have literally never heard anybody reference Facebook in Japan except in terms of like American Economic Corporation, shit like that. No, I've never heard anybody be like, I'm on Facebook or some shit. They use Twitter for their artists to post their hentai, but besides that, I'm pretty sure no one is on Facebook in Japan. That's the good thing about Japan. It really is its like own ecosystem. So if you're sick of all the American bullshit, you can actually escape it by going to Japan and get like the Japanese versions of it. Whether you enjoy the Japanese version of the bullshit more or less, that's another issue, but it will be different. Do you believe the multiple Bidens conspiracy? This sounds like a really dumb conspiracy, even among like a lot of stupid conspiracies. Why would there be multiple Bidens? Is he fucking Sasuke or Naruto using his Kagebunshin no Jutsu? There's multiple Bidens and all of them are senile? What the fuck are you talking about? I'm pretty sure his campaign wished there was multiple Bidens, because then they wouldn't have to trot his fucking senile ass out onto the stage to debate Donald Trump and lose the fucking election. Only Japanese people I know who use Facebook begrudgingly use it to keep in contact with their lame American friends. Yeah, basically that. Japan doesn't use the same social services as America, except in like some exceptions like Twitter. Japanese conservative old people are actually conservative. Like they're using fax machines and floppy disks. And smoking and drinking themselves to death. They come from a more simpler, more honest time. Hashirama cells, except they make you senile. The most powerful of the ninjutsu abilities. Degenerative neurological disease, as I have Alzheimer. Old Japanese people are still racist as hell, LMAO. They basically behave like the 60s. The moment I mention Naruto, everybody is responding. Like clearly Naruto is the one through line of people in this chat of like the anime they've all seen. It's just like my ninja anime. If Naruto married Sasuke, ending better. I mean, do they really need to get married? They just have gay sex on the side. Isn't the Naruto canon that Sasuke was so gay he just pumped and dumped Sakura and left her with a kid and then went off to fucking do whatever? And now she's like a single mom. Isn't that what Sarada is? I can't remember how this shit works. Yes. Sakura mission accomplished. Got impregnated. Now you have to raise the fucking child alone. Who gives a fuck? The 5 Narusaku fans still existing. That's who. The Narusaku fandom was always one of the weirdest parts of American anime consumerism. Because who actually wants Sakura to win, and who gives a fuck about Sasuke, which girl Sasuke is gonna have sex with when he's clearly, obviously gay? Boruto exists for R34 age gap. The Boruto author clearly wants to have sex with 12-year-olds. And who can blame him when he draws such sexy 12-year-olds? Sarada new costume. The infamous literal streetwalker tier costume for the like 13-year-old or whatever. Just kidding, Twitch. I mean, he hate Anko though. Yeah, Anko apparently was too sexy for the fan base, so they had to nerf her. Humanity is so cooked. If anything, this is a going back to the ancient times in which you're like, oh, the child is 12 years old. It is time to marry them. Is there a new artist on the Boruto manga? It's one of Kishimoto's assistants who he had stuck, you know, working for him forever. Basically, Kishimoto had a bunch of draw slaves which he forbid from ever quitting and having their own manga. And he repaid them by letting them use the IP after he was done, so he could go and work on stuff like Samurai 8 and shit. The ancient times of leg warmers and rubber-soled high heels. There was a time in which, in our paternalistic society, where we were like, we cannot allow women to sexually expose themselves because they are property, and we don't want other men to be lusting after their bodies. I own this woman, therefore she must cover herself. But now we're like, whoa. Please dress sexy in public, Sarada-chan. I miss when the solution to lusting after women was to fuck other men. I mean, that still is the solution. You just need to join the military. Or get on a ship or something. Sailors and, you know, artillerymen in the military, they're still doing the same stuff. Just have sex with your bros. This is the most female opinion on this chat. Not so stealth promotion of gay sex. I wonder who is behind this message. Could it be a female who benefits from having lots of yaoi around her? It's not gay if you don't make eye contact. Just turn off the lights. The asshole is literally the same for female and men. There's no difference between a male asshole and a female asshole. It is theoretically the same experience. Nothing gay about it. I don't like the stinker. Me too. Even when I'm looking at hentai, where the asshole is 100% clean, and even possible of conceiving children, depending on the situation. I don't like, there's some hentai authors who are just like absolutely obsessed with anal, and they don't see it as like an optional second hole or a third hole. They see it as like the primary hole. I can name a few hentai artists who, like, they begrudgingly depicted vaginal penetration once or twice in the earlier works, and then after a while they're just like, why am I even pretending? I'm only gonna draw anal sex from now on. Only anal. They're just like, I'm only interested in sticking it in the asshole. What if gay sex helps with your hemorrhoids? I'm gonna take a wild guess and think that gay sex will probably not help with my hemorrhoids. It's a controversial opinion, I know. But somehow I think that sticking a cock up my ass will not make my hemorrhoids better. A shocking concept. Don't Japanese people use bidets? I think anal is quite possible. I don't think washing the outside of your asshole just a little bit with a weak-ass stream of water is enough to counteract the accumulated poop inside your colon. You need to do a lot more cleansing than that. What the fuck is it with, like, the worship of bidets? Is it bidets or bidet? I don't know, but, that weak-ass stream isn't enough to clean my dirty asshole. I wipe my asshole and then I go in the shower and blast it with like 10,000 tons of water. In fact, I think Japanese toilets as a whole are completely overrated. I'm a big stan for Japanese society and lifestyle and technology, but the Japanese toilet and then being like, hey guys, the toilet seat, it's so warm, oh, that shit it's fucking stupid. Are you such a pussy you literally cannot park your ass on a cold toilet seat? I hate warm toilet seats. You know, another situation in which a toilet seat is warm, when you have to use the office restroom and there's your fat coworker was sitting on it 5 seconds ago. That's what the warm toilet seat reminds me of. It fucking sucks. No warm toilet seats for me. The bidet is too weak. The toilet hole is too small. Yeah, get that Toto shit out of here. I don't need your $3,000 Japanese technological marvel toilet. Fuck that. After a shitty winter day, the warm toilet seats are amazing. Sounds like female weakness. As men, we sit on the cold steel toilet seats of prisons. Our ass is full of fat. It's prepared for cold toilet seats. It's not a big deal. Which ZZZ girl is the most sexy? I like Nicole. She dresses like a giga slut, and it's canonical that she's in debt to many organizations, which immediately brings to mind the idea that she will be forced to whore herself out if anything goes wrong. The porn is basically baked into her character, and she was even more of a slut, dressed like more of a slut, before they had to update her so the CCP wouldn't cancel them. She also is available to you from the beginning of the game. I'm still not going to play the gacha though. I like scantily clad women with bad financial management only in anime. Because if you want that, you can easily find a woman like that from Florida or Staten Island or something. And yeah, they will make your life very, very bad. You do not want an IRL woman who's scantily clad and has bad financial management, because you will find a lot of them. And it will not be pretty. I just came off a true crime cop video in which local Florida woman was sleeping with like 30 different guys trying to find one willing to murder her husband or ex-husband. And she finally found one, and he shot the guy, her husband, with a shotgun while she parked her truck in like an abandoned street or something. And then when the paramedics show up, she pretended to have a fake panic attack and was doing that kind of hyperventilating. And it was so fake that the medic pulled the oxygen meter out of her arm halfway through the conversation because it was so obvious that she was faking her panic attack and she wasn't actually hyperventilating. She is currently serving life in prison. Better Staten Island than Florida. At least Wu-Tang is from Staten Island. Notice that their Wu-Tang is not scantily clad women though. I wouldn't date a Wu-Tang member either. I would date RZA. Okay, that's a very specific Wu-Tang Clan member. There's like 10 other... How many people are in the Wu-Tang Clan? I can't even remember. I like how you're specifically choosing the one that's clearly the most successful and most conventionally attractive, probably. Surely a big titty Yakuza girl like in the mangas, that's what they all look like, right? The Yakuza are gone, guys. There are no big titty women in Japan in general. 8 if I remember correctly. That's too many. You can't have more than like a few people in your hip-hop group. I mean, we can't even keep Outcast together, so I don't think we can keep like fucking 8 members in your hip-hop group together. That seems a little excessive. Originally 9 until old dirty bastard died. What did he die from? I can't keep track of all the dead rappers and what they died. It's like I was assuming Eazy-E was gone because he got shot or something, and it's like no, it was the STDs that got him. I was like, huh. I can't keep track of this shit. I'm pretty sure like Suge Knight has killed like 35 rappers at this point, so if you just assume that they were killed by Suge Knight or something, then it's probably a good bet. He OD'd? Yes. The OD in Old Dirty Bastard also sounds for overdosing. Overdose, gang violence, STDs, or heart failure. You can always be like just too fat, I guess, because it's America. If the gang violence doesn't get you first, the McDonald's will. The combination of heroin versus McDonald's, who will get you first? I never was a huge fan of East Coast rap, actually. I was always more of a West Coast guy, even though I would like hate to live in California or anything in terms of the sound. I guess I'm just like a big stand for Dr. Dre's artistry. Talk about people who successfully sold out and are just like fucking billionaires. They got Diddy before those. I mean, it sure took a while. You think I should adopt like a controversial Diddy is innocent stance or something? Just to, you know, differentiate myself from the rest of society? I should start selling t-shirts that say I believe in Diddy on my Patreon. Why? I don't know. The same reason why Kanye has to sell his swastika t-shirts. Because he wants attention. Diddy was always an asshole. I can't believe anyone would defend him. I think most people don't actually pay much attention to how rappers behave. Also, I think you get a lot of excuses to behave like an asshole just as part of the hip-hop mogul personality. You're kind of expected to be an asshole. Honestly, I think all the weird sex stuff that Diddy was doing is pretty funny. If we actually go through everything, didn't he have, like, he was having, what, other guys fuck his girlfriends and he could watch and stuff? And also he was having, like, bisexual shit as well? I can't remember the full extent of his sexual weirdness. You should have done that with R. Kelly. Yeah, I should be like, there's nothing weird about R. Kelly wanting to piss on women. I'm sure that would have gone over well with like the rest of the population. Because, let's think about this rationally. Really, what's the worst that can happen with pissing on someone? It's really perfectly fine. If you got stung by a jellyfish, you would have your buddy piss on it, right? So R. Kelly was just getting ahead of the curve. That was essentially what the freak-offs were. I like how he had his own terminology for what he was doing. Only issue with R. Kelly was the underage shit. Also the fact that he was like convincing the woman that they should cut all contact with their families and stuff so they could be working in his sex dungeon 24/7 or some shit like that. It was basically a cult, is what I read. He did all the cult moves, like trying to convince the women that their families didn't love them and, you know, he was the only one that could protect them or some, you know, the typical cult moves, apparently, so... You know that someone is probably not a good person when they spend a lot of time trying to convince you to cut off all social contact with people besides them. They might be down to something not very good. That's a pro tip there, friends. If R. Kelly tries to convince you that you don't need anybody else and you should stay in his sex dungeon permanently, that might be a bad sign. The cult stuff was immoral but not illegal. I mean, can't P. Diddy say that his freak-offs were immoral but not illegal as well? I guess if someone says they didn't want to, you know, lick your asshole or get their asshole licked by P. Diddy, then it becomes illegal. That type of stuff only happens with money. I don't know. You can probably find poor cults, or if you're just talking about the sex, you can probably find low-income swingers clubs with unattractive people. If you want to have swingers content with attractive people, then you have to have money. If you're okay with just having Reddit tier unattractive people, then you can do it on a budget, I assume. Consent is kind of important. The problem with consent is that people can change it retroactively. They can be like, P. Diddy forced me to lick his asshole, which is why we all now have to sign legal documents before we have sex with our girlfriends. Not that I would ever know. That's the, I can hear the ice cream truck outside. I don't know if you guys can hear it. Like how that woman had sex with 100 guys in one day and then cried about it. Did she cry about it, or is that just the internet lying about it? Half of this information about like women being sexually promiscuous is construed by incels on the internet, so I never know if it's real or not. It's super easy to find people to have sex with. Just find your local Reddit polycule and the wave of detachable foxtail. When I was working at the YMCA, we had these family changing rooms. So I was a lifeguard in the YMCA, but apparently someone had checked Craigslist, and the YMCA was listed as like a local gay sex meetup because they could go in the family changing room to have gay sex. I was just like, I'm not surprised one bit. On the other hand, half of being a lifeguard at a family pool is cleaning up shit in the first place, so it really doesn't change the state of things. I don't think they ever actually closed the family changing rooms. There wasn't enough gay sex happening for it to become a real problem. Only a small amount of gay sex. She cried about it in an interview, LMAO. In Japan, that's called crop rotation. The term they use is nimosaku, which is when you like rotate your crops on a field, I believe is how it works. So the idea is that as a woman you get to make a lot of money selling your body in various ways when you're young, and then when you get old you get to claim how the prostitution or whatever prostitution variations you're engaging in was a form of societal abuse, and then you get an extra bonus amount of money as reparations for your poor behavior. But only the most skilled of societal tricksters get to pull that card. No sex in the YMCA changing room. This isn't an equinox. Sex in the YMCA changing room is a long tradition with a storied history in the YMCA. Why do you think the village people were singing about it? We must respect our traditions and our ancestors by having more gay sex in YMCAs. Literally the OnlyFans pipeline. Just don't give the people money, men. If you're unhappy about women selling their bodies online, like, just don't give them money. It's that simple. The village people performed at Trump's inauguration. Nothing is sacred. I mean, they're definitely from the same time period. It seems kind of appropriate, honestly. I'm not sure Trump is smart enough to recognize that the Village people have gay undertones to their performances. He might be unaware of it. He thinks he's like a fucking rocking band. It's awesome. Someone might need to explain to him what macho man means. Did your YMCA have an Indian construction guy and cop hanging in the locker rooms? No, instead it had a sailor, a biker man, and who am I forgetting? A cowboy. It was the other half. I think we need more band groups that stick to costumes, like permanent costumes, so you don't have to remember their names. Like Kiss. So you can be like, that's the member of Kiss with the weird face paint, and that's the other member of Kiss with the weird face paint. Like, I think the Village people cosplay gimmick was legitimately a good idea. You don't actually have to remember their names. You're like, that's the cowboy, that's the construction worker. Just don't buy OnlyFans. Same with video games. Just don't buy slop. Literally, just don't give them your money. Whenever I'm on Twitter and somehow like a woman trying to push her OnlyFans shows up in my timeline, and I check out her Twitter account, and then I check out her OnlyFans, and like she only has like 5 paying members, it makes me just like happy, because it's such a red ocean at this point. There's so many women trying to become the next OnlyFans billionaire. They're like just eating each other's space. It's an actual arms race in OnlyFans content and kick streamers in hot tubs and stuff. Who can be the biggest slut online, to the point that they can't out-slut each other anymore. It's honestly pretty hilarious, if you ask me. I do not understand who buys OnlyFans. Lonely people. That's the answer. People who need someone to tell them that they love and support them, even if they know that deep down the person sending them that message is some sort of like Filipino guy who is being paid 5 cents an hour. Gen AI will take over that too. It will for a while, until they lobotomize the AI and make it more expensive than OnlyFans, because they can't keep on running these expensive ass servers. Eventually it'll be cheaper to have some like Filipino part-time worker send you fake messages from the OnlyFans girl than it will be to run the Gen AI servers, and then it will flip back to OnlyFans. Blue men are still going, like Baby Metal. Baby Metal have entered the zone in which they're no longer babies. They have the same problem that rappers have when they start calling themselves like Little Bow Wow or some shit, and they're no longer little. I think the only way to escape the Little Bow Wow curse is you have to become like super fat, and then you can be like the ironic version of being like called little. Like, you have to grow to be like 6'8", 350 pounds, and then it'll be like, yeah, he's called little, as like, but like ironically. Little dick. Well, no one will be able to tell whether you're being ironic or not about that one, unless you have a truly massive hog. Then you can sort of show off the bulge. Yeah, my rapper name is gonna be Little Big Cock. There's already Little Dicky. All the good rapper names have been taken, guys. I wanted to call myself MC Cocksucker, but there's already 2 other MC Cocksuckers. Is there an MC Cocksucker? I actually have to look this up now. MC Cocksucker. There is a YouTube that's called Lily McCocksucker. What are your thoughts on Taimanin lore? My thoughts are, people think that Taimanin are extremely incompetent, but in reality, we're only seeing like the 0.01% special occasions in the hentai games where the orcs get to win, and 99% of the time, the orcs get murdered in horrible ways. So it's a hard life being an orc in the Taimanin universe. You have to fight against these hyper titty ninjas that can move faster than, you know, like the speed of sound and just like chop you up before you can even do anything. Ingrid, best Taimanin. She's not even a Taimanin. She's like a demon knight or something. Ingrid was made for loving married relationship with orcs, considering that she's fiercely loyal to a guy who doesn't give a fuck about her. Orcs will be doing Ingrid a favor if they impregnate her, honestly. It's the only chance she's got. When will we see a Taimanin game when we play as guy getting raped by big titty succubus? They already exist. Taimanin has gone from traditional media in which it was all about like orc rape and stuff, and now people have gotten attached to the female characters, so approximately like half of the current Taimanin gacha content is consensual stuff. It's not like how they used to make it. Nobody's getting cubed anytime soon, unfortunately. I forgot she's married. She's not married except in certain scenarios in which she's quote-unquote married to orcs as a form of humiliation. And they want to do like wedding dress porn of her. But I don't know. Legitimately, she's probably would be better off being married to orcs. Do you play current Taimanin stuff? I stopped playing Taimanin stuff when they went gacha route. I've said this again for the Zenless Zone Zero discussions. I will not play gachas. I just don't play them. So I was buying the individual games when they were still individual eroge, and I stopped when they were like, our primary content is gacha. And that's that. Instead I just download the pirated CG series. If you want me to buy your product, then I'm not going to buy your product in the form of we might or might not give you the content you want. You have to keep on playing for an indefinite amount of time, and eventually you might get the content. I'm not going to do that. Fuck that shit. Like, imagine gacha in any other context. Like, you go to your local grocery store and you try and buy, like, a bottle of water, and instead of a bottle of water, you get a bottle of, like, milk, and you're like, I don't want to drink fucking milk, I want water. And they're like, well, I'm sorry, water is an SSR rare, you're gonna have to keep on buying milk until you eventually get a bottle of water. Like, what kind of a fucking store is that? Nobody wants to live that life. But that's... gacha consumers consider that shit to be normal. So yeah, I ain't doing that. They took the hentai out of Taimanin, right? They did for a spin-off video game called Action Taimanin. But they still have a hentai version running as well, but it's a gacha. What they don't have anymore is the normal format in which you buy an eroge for like 2,000 yen and then you get a video game with a actual story that's comprehensive and ends during that game. They stopped that after Taimanin Asagi 3, basically. And now they just do gacha, and the gacha has an ongoing story and stuff if you actually care about the lore and shit, which you shouldn't. Because they're like deep in the multiple universe type stuff, the Marvel formula. Which makes more sense for Taimanin than it does for Marvel, because they need the women to lose and get turned into breeding slaves every once in a while. So they need to have multiple universes. It's way less excusable for shit like Marvel and DC, though. Just buy Stellar Blade and mod Taimanin in. I don't really like the Stellar Blade body models, honestly. Even among the Korean leggy... what do you call it? Plastic surgery core, I guess is what I would call it. Even among those Korean body models, I prefer the First Descendant over Stellar Blade. So I played a little bit of First Descendant, and of course that's also a gacha. Not really a gacha, but it's a grind game. So I stopped playing that because, you know, I don't have the fucking time to be doing that, of course. I personally appreciate the attempt at telling a story. When I care more about the characters, I care more about the fucking. The emotional impact and the masturbation sequence is better when you know all the backstory and all the work and training that went into the Taimanin's life, so that when she ultimately loses to the orcs and gets turned into a breeding slave, the emotional impact is better. To be a true NTR Coomer, for example, you have to be fully involved in the story and like really self-insert as the guy and truly love the female character, so then when she gets cucked, you're like, no! And then your penis will be much more stronger because of the despair. It's like the despair but also a boner feeling. You can have story in hentai. I mean, that's where most of the eroge came from, right? You would have these eroge companies that would have these highly acclaimed tearjerker stories like the Clanads of the world. What would your self-insert Taimanin be like? I don't self-insert as women, so... And I don't self-insert as femboys either, so there wouldn't be one. I would just be a random orc. I'd be, the sleazy guy who sells information to the Taimanin, and then when they get captured, he shows up and is like, "Heh, look what happened to you, Asagi. I always wanted to fuck you, ha ha ha." And she's like, damn you. In other words, I wouldn't do anything until the time money was actually stuck in a wall conveniently. I'm too risk averse to deal with that shit. Remember, every time any scenario has a scenario in which they actually win, so they can continue the plot going. What would your male ninja power be? I wouldn't have a male ninja power. I'd just be random civilian that gets murdered. My male ninja power is hyper cunnilingus. Male ninja power of clean fingers after eating Cheetos. Japanese already have that power. They use chopsticks. Have you seen videos of Japanese like eating potato chips with chopsticks and stuff? This is the power of having chopstick ability. It's really helpful actually. You can do so much with chopsticks. They don't have Cheetos in Japan though. They don't have Cheetos or Doritos, so they don't have like the magical orange dust that gets everywhere. I can't think of a Japanese equivalent of Cheetos and Doritos, honestly. Human that get transformed into sex-crazed abomination. You know, despite everything, the Taiwanese government and society seems to be relatively functional. Why would I eat with chopsticks when I can shove them all into my mouth at once like the 500-pound freedom fighter I am? So you have to crinkle the bag to get all the potato chips or the Cheetos and stuff all like dusty and crushed up. And then you can swirl the bag a little, open the hole, and then just like tip it and let gravity push all the chips down your throat. Just mainline that shit. Non-consensual ninjas replenish dwindling Japanese population. You know what one of my pet peeves of current hentai is? We're getting a lot of pregnant content. I wish they would expand the pregnant content and go all the way to the childbirthing and then like child rearing content. Like I want to see the 5 years after scene in which she has like 5 kids and she has to like deal with the reality of being a mother. Also, I want to see the ugly bastard supporting his family. How can you truly be an ugly bastard Tanetsuke Oji-san if you're not also willing to economically support your children? She never gets child support. You do get child support in Japan, though, realistically speaking. I believe it's pretty solid. What about mom stealing daughter's boyfriend? I want to see the aftermath of mom stealing daughter's boyfriend, in which both the daughter and the mother are both pregnant. You have the awkward situation of explaining to your children that your brother is also your uncle or whatever. Welfare queens can't exist in my Nippon. No, how could this happen? The real welfare queens in Nippon are all the old people. Abe-san wishes that it was Japanese welfare queens using all the national budget, but instead it's just fucking old ass people. Now you got 50-50 visitation and have to go to your kids' baseball games. Man, I would not go to my kids' baseball games. Like, fuck that shit. Personally, as a kid, I never remember being like, oh, I wish my parents would show up at this activity. Sometimes they would show up and sometimes they wouldn't show up, but I was never like, oh, I sure hope my parents are gonna see me in this school play. I'm gonna make them proud. Like, I never gave a fuck. I guess I'm just, like, self-centered, but I don't care about my parents' approval. Because I don't think they have particularly good judgment onto the quality of my school play. I care about the approval of, like, the general audience. That's why I draw manga, because I want the general audience to be happy. Something like my parents, who will be, like, supportive because I'm their son, not because of the quality of my work. It doesn't really matter to me. My dad went to all my soccer games, but he kind of taught me to play like a little asshole. I hope whenever somebody mildly bumps into you on the street, now that you're an adult, you fall down and flail around on the concrete and be like, oh, oh, and then get up like nothing happened once you get their phone number and their attorney so you can sue them. Because that's what I assume what you mean by playing like an asshole, because that's how every European soccer player plays. Ah! I broke every bone in my body, my shin, no! What a stupid fucking sport. Also, where's all the commercial breaks? How am I gonna learn what potato chip I'm supposed to buy if there isn't a commercial break every 2 minutes? I was the kind of kid who grabbed jerseys to see what direction another kid would run or would headbutt another kid for talking shit. Grabbing jerseys is like the true life hack of pretty much every sport. You're definitely not supposed to do it in any sport. It's supposed to be a foul in any sport, and like people do it in every sport because they can't call all the fouls. If you watch any NBA game, there's always like at least 3 players getting their jerseys grabbed at pretty much any point. Same thing for any NFL game. It'll literally be like, oh, he's about to break out, and it's just like people just grabbing his jersey for like dear life. So the only solution to that is for everybody to play buck naked, oiled up, so they can't be grabbed. Gotchi-gasm. Men need to wear less clothes and just be playing naked and oiled. It's the only way. American Kendo is growing and I think defeated Japan in a world championship. So I have a secret for you. Kendo is all bullshit. I learned this on the Japanese internet. The entire point of kendo, like they have this whole rule about it's not like based on who actually hit who first. They have all of this concept of like, did you properly do the form and shit like that, and it's all like fucking subjective. If you look at the Japanese National Kendo Championships, the prefecture that's holding the location of the championship wins that year's championship like 90% of the time, because it's all about like buying out the referees and shit. It's basically professional wrestling, apparently. There's no honor, Sag. Samurai honor is always bullshit. They made up all that stuff after they stopped killing each other. My glorious Nippon Kendo can't be rigged. I won't believe such lies. Most sports are rigged. Especially when it comes to like national competition and stuff that require judges. A lot of contact sports are rigged because you don't actually get outcomes where somebody gets knocked out and stuff most of the time. So you have to be like, oh, this boxer had so many points, you know. Boxing was infamously rigged the hell out of it. Remember the most recent Paris Olympics where Japan and France was tied in judo, and then they had a quote-unquote random like computer system decide who would be fighting who for like the championship match, and the Japanese team got matched up with like the best French judo guy, and everybody in Japan was like, holy shit, this is bullshit. It's like, yeah, I'm sure that computer system was quote-unquote random. That being said, the NBA isn't as rigged as people want to believe it. It's interesting that the NBA is the one where we get the most conspiracy theories. Because if the NBA was actually rigged, we definitely would not have like 10 years of San Antonio being the best team, and then probably the next 10 years of Oklahoma City being the best team. Samurai honor, oh shit, guns. Japan's most wankiest, the people they like sucking the dick most, Nobunaga loved guns. He was like, let's fucking go. Let's get guns. David Stern would have had a stroke over Pacers versus Thunder, especially with the Knicks involved. Yeah. David Stern would have 100% tried to rig the Pacers series for the Knicks. He'd be like, do it. Activate it right now. The Pacers must not win. Unfortunately, no matter how many fouls they were giving to Jalen Brunson, it wasn't enough. Shinsengumi is real. Shinsengumi is real. The thing about Shinsengumi is they were basically like, I guess they weren't terrorists because they were on the government side, but the entire concept of Japanese samurai honor is shit that they made up in the later stages. When samurai were actually fighting each other, they were doing whatever dirty shit they could get away with in the Sengoku period. The primary form of in which people were killing each other was spears and bows. Nobody was using their katana. Your katana worship is also fake. That being said, Japanese society is slightly more honorable than, I don't know, other countries. Like, you know, if you go to Japan as a tourist and you drop your wallet, people will, like, pick it up and take it to the local police station. So it's not all bullshit. It's just not samurai honor. It's just, like, I don't know, social cohesiveness. It sounds like being a samurai sucked, to be honest. Depends if you were a samurai during the actual Sengoku period when people were fighting, or samurai during Edo period in which you were just like a stipend class. Then you're just like a paper pusher, and you get progressively more poor if you're a samurai in the Edo period, because they set up the stipends that you got when the Edo government was formed, but they didn't account for inflation. So by the end of the Edo era, samurai are fucking dirt poor because their salary hasn't changed at all in like 200 years. And they're all like in debt to the merchant class by that point. Amazing how being a communal society makes Japan operate better. You have to be ready to operate as a communal society in Japan, because when the fucking earthquake comes, you're fucked if you don't have some sort of communal support system. Japan has too much natural disasters to not be like a functional society, or else they're all just gonna die. That being said, you also get a lot of like American doing Christian shit. Like Japanese as individuals are much less likely to be like, hey man, you need a place to stay. Let me help you out, bro. Like they'll just ignore you. It's like they just have the societal guidelines on how you're supposed to act in certain situations, and they're not gonna do shit out of their own moral free will. They're just like, they just do shit because it's what you're supposed to do. It's not because they like have any sort of guiding principle of goodness. It's just like social cohesion guidelines, not moral goodness guidelines. So if the social cohesion says like we need to invade China because we're part of a national imperialistic, you know, army, then they're all gonna okay with it. Everybody is just in the peg that sticks out gets banged back in whole zone, and they don't really think for themselves. Social services are great. Japan actually gives a shit about its people, I guess. I mean, we can't compare it to America, which has basically zero social services. America just has like nothing, so it's the standard is too low to use it as a comparison. Yes, shame culture also helps. Americans not giving us any fucks about being shamed by other people and being like, nah, I'm proud that I was acting like a dumbass is not helping. I really want to cuck a Japanese salaryman and get his wife pregnant as a foreigner. You will be able to attract women as a foreigner, but it might not necessarily be the housewives. I don't know. Whenever I see a white guy abroad in Japan YouTubing, I'm like, this guy will probably have like a Japanese wife in 6 months, and often that is the case. It's extremely easy for white guys in Japan to find like a Japanese white guy chaser to get married to. And they will 100% be changing their name to like Mikako Erickson or some shit because they think it's a status symbol to have a white guy name. I'm not white though, I'm Hispanic. Depends how light-skinned you are, I guess. You should pretend that you're white if you can pass as it. Change your name to Johnson or something. You got a bag of Filipino as an American white guy. Yeah, I guess you can do that. American white guys go to the Philippines, get stabbed, find Filipino wife. I'm medium brown because I'm a shut-in. I'm as pale as I can get. Should be fine. My friend is black, living in Japan. Has a Japanese wife. Times are changing. I'm not saying that you won't be able to find Japanese wife if you're not white. I'm just saying that's the overwhelming easiest way to get it. What you don't see as much is foreign woman going to Japan, finding Japanese boyfriend. Japanese men are not as valued as Japanese women are for foreigners. It doesn't really work the other way. I'm not sure why it ends up be that way, but Asian guys are like the bottom of the totem pole in terms of like the unspoken cultural hierarchy. There's all these Amazon commercials recently that feature Japanese women with dyed pink hair because they always do. And they're like, the Japanese woman is buying a bunch of Amazon products to make her bento or to go travel abroad so she can participate in Western dancing or some shit like that. But they never show Japanese men because Japanese men are like the least desirable human beings on the planet. They are just drone workers to slave away as salarymen. It's a hard life. Japanese men were weird with me, either kind of leering or terrified of me, and there was no in between. That's what happens when you're perverted, but also being perverted can get you accused of being chikan and then lose all of your societal, I don't know, approval and lose your job and shit like that. Want to have sexo, but also live in fear of getting prosecuted for sexo, which is the zone that Japanese salarymen have been living in since like the late 90s, I guess. The Japanese men are either terrified of being accused of sekuhara or actively committing sekuhara. The dichotomy. Men in Kyoto are probably the most chill. Kyoto is passive-aggressive land. So, you're getting the equivalent of like cheerful people in Minnesota or something. Alright, I'm going to end the stream here, guys. I will continue grinding. Man, my room is fucking hot. Alright, see you around. Have a nice night, guys. I have to go shit.